Hey, it's T. I'm back with another quick code video. These are really aimed at adult learners like myself or adolescent learners who might be getting stuck a little bit in the foundations of Python. They're a great exercise for me because it makes me go back and think about what I've learned to do and then articulate that. It's a great way to learn is to teach somebody else because you find your blind spots. It's entirely possible that there are concepts in here that I don't grasp. So I'm not your best possible resource, but I am a fellow learner. So if that's for you, maybe consider subscribing and doing the doodad things. And this week I'm going to be talking about if-then statements, which are really, really important to computer programming, but also just thinking structurally about things in general. So my goal is in the next 5.5 to 7.5 minutes to introduce you to and show you how to write and maybe even debug if-then statements. Sounds like a lot, but it's really not that bad. What I've got is, first of all, a big idea. If-then statements evaluate an expression or a statement to see whether they're true or false. And then it does something based on the outcome of that evaluation. Very, very important for controlling the flow of your code, the value of variables, whether or not certain things are turned on or off. If you're developing an application, even if it's a simple console application, your if-then statements are going to be all over the place. There are other types of conditionals, but this is a really, really common one, especially at first. And it's one of the reasons why so many courses spend so much time on if-thens. But there's a couple things that I've noticed that beginners, like myself, tend to struggle with, and that's really the purpose of what I'm about to talk about. There are a couple of key components to if statements, to if statements. First of all, you have the if keyword. I should say keyword. That clues Python in to say that the next part is going to be an expression. And an expression is like a mathematical statement that you can evaluate, like an algebraic statement. X is equal to something. If it's true, then the command will be executed. If it's false, and there's no other information for the software to work on, then it will just skip it entirely. It goes right over it if it finds that this is not true. Now, I have these written in parentheses because I think it helps a learner identify that evaluable expression better than the more Pythonic way of writing without them. A lot of times you'll just see it as if A is greater than B, but it can be kind of hard to see, okay, what's being evaluated. So at least when I've been working with other beginners in some of the networks that I'm part of, I try to draw attention to that. And I'm used to putting them in parentheses now because that's how we do it in C#. So in this particular if-then expression, there's no then, there's no elifs, there's no else statements. It's just one conditional, if. If A is greater than B, then I want you to print true. So we can do the kind of hand rolling up here and take a look at it. A is 5, B is 4. Is it true that A is greater than B? Yes, it's true. And if I run it, Python's a little bit slow, you'll see down here, it identifies that that is true. So I know it's true, but it printed it out. I could even say, make this a little bit clearer, the expression is true. That way we're not just getting a value, right? Let's rerun that. The expressio is true because I have a typo. We can go a little bit farther with this with a couple of optional components. I could also say elif A is equal to B, and I need the colon there at the end. Remember, and here's a common mistake that I make frequently. Equals is an assignment operator in Python. It's basically saying A is equal to B. In order to make it actually say exactly equal to, we need two of these, right? And let's put it in parentheses again so it's clearer. I need anything that comes after the if or the elif or the else to be an evaluable statement. If I can't say what is this evaluating to, if I can't complete it, Python can't complete it. So if A is exactly equal to B, I want to print these are equal, my friend. And let's just change the value here real quickly. Okay, so now A and B are equal to 5, and if you're following along, if this is starting to click, we know that the if is going to get skipped because A is not greater than B, and the elif is going to execute because A and B are completely equal. There they go. Okay. Now let's make it a little bit more interesting. We'll add an else, and we don't need an evaluation statement after an else. In fact, I don't think there should be one at all. So I could say, I don't know, nope. And let's say, let's make 4 the value of A. So in this case, A is 4, B is 5. Let's walk through the logic here. I forgot my colon. You do need a colon at the end of these statements. That's different than C#. If A is greater than B, print the expression is true. Is that true? No. B is less than A. Or I'm sorry, A is less than B. If A is exactly equal to B, then we would say these are equal, my friend. Else, which is any other case, which really logically can only be that B is greater than A, it'll print nope. And that's what we would expect to happen if we were to walk through this logically. And there it is, down here at the very bottom of the screen. Nope. I'm going to delete that. Okay. So now we have a general structure. You need your keywords, your if, else, and you need your expression that can be evaluated as either true or false. It's got to come out as a Boolean. And then you need your command. And you can have more than one command, right? I could print the weather is great, and I can even have another elif statement. Let's say that I have variable C is 10, right? Elif C is exactly equal to 10. Print C is big. So let's look at what happens now, because there's another big idea here, and that is the first if, elif, or the else statement that's evaluated true is the one that Python will select whether it is the best fit. So in this case, technically else would still evaluate under our current setup of variables is true, but it's going to go, that's not true, that's not true, oh wait, that's true, and if I run this, we're going to get C is big. There it is, right? Because it's settling on that very first one that it finds as correct. So you need to be very careful, and the general idea that I've gotten out of the coding courses that I've taken, and I'm running up on my 8 minutes here, is that you need to start with specific conditions first. So the specific conditions in this case is this one, right? I want to see, is that one going to evaluate? That's the one that I think is the most important. Then I would put that at the top so that it doesn't get swept up into some other unexpected condition that happens to be true but is less important than the one I'm really looking for. If you start having more than 3, 4 elifs, you want to look at having a switch case statement instead. I'll cover those in a different video because I find them personally really interesting, and they're lightning fast. They're easy to set up too. But this is the framework for having an if, elif, else statement in Python. A little bit different than in C#. I think I'm starting to prefer the C# method, having worked on it for a couple weeks now. I feel I can really find exactly what I'm looking for when I debug, because I write bad code in C#. Python, because the parentheses are not required and there's no like curly brackets going on like there are in C#, it can be a little bit hard to find exactly what you're looking for in the debugs. The last thing to keep in mind, and this has been a little bit of a bugbear for me because I get twitchy because I want to write real fast, I want to type fast. You need to make sure that everything that is evaluating underneath your if, elif statements is indented at the same level. So if you're using tabs, which I prefer to use tabs because I write a lot, I'm just used to hitting tab when I need to go in, they need to be at the exact same line. I might get an error, maybe. Nope, okay, so it read that my 4 spaces as being enough, but if I back it up to 3 spaces, I'm getting an error. The unindent amount does not match the previous indent. That goes away once they're at the same spot. So you want to be very, very careful to be aware of that. That could be a common error. And if I run this, let me see. I want to look at the actual error message. Okay, I am getting indentation error. Line 9 it's telling me right here, line 9, I'm getting an indentation error. And that should tell me, oh, I need to go back and double check this. I need to make sure that these are properly aligned. Same thing with your Elif statements. Look, there's an error, your else. They all need to be on the same level. It doesn't matter what that level is. Like, let's indent these ones just to prove a point. Oops. Actually, it's probably going to throw a fit because it's way over here. Unexpected indentation, but notice that the error went away on the rest of these. If you're not in a loop, though, it should be all the way over to your left side. So that's it. This one went a little bit long, but I think it was a little bit more technical. Just a real quick recap. Your if-thens, they evaluate to see if the statement is true or false, if it's a Boolean, and you need a couple of key components. You need your if keyword, you need your expression that is evaluatable or evaluable, and you need the command that goes underneath it. The optional components are your else and your elif statements. That's kind of it. They tie right into loops. Once you get used to writing a whole bunch of them, then, you know, it should become second nature. So that's it. If you like this kind of thing, or if it's helpful, tell me. Ask me questions if if you're a beginner and you've got other questions. Let me know if I'm wrong down in the statements below, comments below. And that's it for else, elif, and conditionals. Cool.